This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is James Marsh, the Managing Director of Andromeda Metals, listed on the ASX with the ticker ADN. So hello, James. Welcome onto Stockbox. Thank you very much for your time. How are you doing?
Yes, very well. Thanks, Mark.
So could you start us off perhaps with just an introduction to the company, what you're all about?
Yes, certainly. So Andromeda Metals is aspiring to become a world leader in the mining and production and supply of world-class industrial minerals, and specifically halloysite kaolin, which is our number one focus, the Great White Kaolin project. And this is now heading for operational start later this year.
Okay. So could you tell me a little bit about halloysite kaolin and the market that it goes to?
Yeah, so this is a industrial mineral. Kaolin is a very common industrial mineral found around the whole world. It's been used in literally dozens of applications for over 1,000 years. Now we've got a very high purity version of kaolin. It's the highest purity version that I've seen in over 30 years, and we're also working on. And these include things like carbon capture, storage and conversion, lithium-ion batteries, supercapacitors, and hydrogen energy. So some sort of groundbreaking new technologies there, and these natural nanotubes look like they could be very successful in those.
Okay. And is it used all around the world? Is there a particular jurisdiction that has more demand for it?
Yeah, so it's used. Main demand for the version we have is actually in porcelain, high quality porcelain, and that is the main production for that is China. 60% of the world's production is in China, and they value this very high purity version that we have. Their materials and their supplies from their mines have actually run out now, so they are desperate to source material, and they're very keen on our material. But having said that, it's used anywhere in the world where porcelain is being produced, and this is the real high-end stuff, not the cheap stuff. Then this is highly valued material, and we have serious interest from around the whole world, and we have binding offtakes locked in already, totaling over 80,000 tons a year of this product.
Okay. So can you tell me a bit about the project then, the Great White Project, your flagship project here?
Yeah, so this project is based on the Eyre Peninsula of South Australia. This is an area that has a large amount of this material around, and our particular resource has been studied and drilled and tested for over 30 years now, not by Andromeda, but by other companies. Andromeda picked this up shortly before I joined the company, about 4 years ago now. And in that 4 years, we've taken this, what was an exploration play, through to a defined resource and through pre-feasibility studies. And we are due to release our definitive feasibility study next month. We secured a mining lease, so we got permission to mine late last year. And we're now looking to build a mine there, which will be mining up to 600,000 tons a year of the ore, and processing that on site to give us a very high quality premium product that will be shipped around the world.
Okay. And how did you pick this project up then? It's had a lot of historical exploration on it, has it?
It has, yeah. Interesting story that the previous company that was working on it was sort of going in the wrong direction with it. They decided that they were going to find a new home for it. Andromeda, before I actually joined the company, picked it up as a high purity alumina play. So one new activity in Australia especially is the production of high purity alumina from kaolin, which is a chemical process, and high purity alumina is a new battery mineral, a critical battery mineral. So that was how it was picked up. But when I joined the company, I realized that there was halloysite kaolin here, which was actually a much quicker, easier, less riskier business. So we've steered the company in that direction, get some cash flow from the sale of this halloysite kaolin, and then we can look at the new exciting other opportunities like high purity alumina in the fullness of time.
Okay. So it looks like 2022 is setting up to be a fairly busy year. You say you've got the mining approval, moving into operations. I think I read as well or heard somewhere that you're looking to recruit a large number of people. You've got the DFS due next month. That's a big milestone there. What is the roadmap looking like for this year? Can you set out some of the key milestones for us?
Yeah, certainly. So at the present time, we are just in the process of taking over our joint venture partner, which is Minotaur Exploration. We've now got full control of that company. So Minotaur Exploration will be integrated into Andromeda. We will spin out the non-core assets that we're not interested in. We will then have 100% of the Great White Project, plus 100% of Natural Nanotech, which is the IP company attached to that. So that's coming up in March. The DFS, so that's the definitive feasibility study, will be coming out by the end of March. That'll give us all the numbers, financials, and the detailed analysis of what we need to do to get the project going. We have our final environmental sign-off in progress. That's just a procedural matter, but it does take about 6 months. So we were looking at around about the midpoint of this year to get environmental sign-off. So another big milestone. As soon as we get that, we can then break ground. So we're looking to break ground immediately after that, start to get the infrastructure in place for the mine. And then we have probably about 3 months of groundworks to get the top off the ground and also then build up the structure around it. So some big milestones there. We are also looking at, we've developed some new applications for this halloysite kaolin that are very interesting and could be very profitable for the company. We've been doing a lot of work on its use in concrete, which is one area. And we found that we have the right type of halloysite kaolin that when you put it into concrete, you can do a number of interesting things. You can make the carbon footprint much lower, which is a hot topic now around the world. But you can also make it cheaper, and you can use materials that can't normally be used in a concrete. This is interesting because you only need about 1 to 2 kilos of our material in 1 cubic meter of concrete, 2 or 3 tons. So that's a new application that we have customers already lined up for it. They said they will buy it as soon as we can supply it. So we're now working through that process because that will be a truly massive global market for us and also a very interesting domestic market for us.
Okay. Well, yes, indeed. It does sound like things are going to change a lot during this year. I wonder if you can tell me a little bit more about the joint venture partner and the takeover there of Minotaur. I think I read in a report that you said it was a very exciting, positive step that will unlock the value for Andromeda and Minotaur shareholders. I wonder if you can perhaps explain why this enables that to happen and why it's a good deal for shareholders.
Yeah, so this is an accretive transaction. So we are acquiring, from an Andromeda side of things, we are acquiring 25% of the project for approximately 19% of the value. So that means there's a big upside for Andromeda shareholders, and that's just for the Great White Project. But we also are acquiring 50% of the Natural Nanotech joint venture, that's the IP company. So that's another add-on. The value of that is a bit more difficult to determine, but we believe it's very significant. Now, for Minotaur shareholders, they get a 1.15 Andromeda shares for every Minotaur share. So they end up having a very healthy holding of Andromeda shares. So they get to be included in everything Andromeda is doing. They get included in the new 100% acquisition of the project and everything else goes with it. Plus, they also get shares in the demerger spin-out from Minotaur, which is their copper and gold assets. So you see it's a win-win for everyone included in the whole process, and that's why the Minotaur board have supported this, give it their full backing, and recommended that anyone votes yes that hasn't voted. But we are now at the point where we've gained control of Minotaur, and we are very close to unconditional control.
Okay, excellent. Well, we've spoken a lot about Kaolin, but of course there are other projects, aren't there, in the portfolio? And I think you had some recent news from Clark as well. Is it gold?
Yes, so we've got some joint ventures. Now, these are legacy joint ventures from the original company before it was Andromeda. It used to be called Adelaide Resources. So when I joined Andromeda, one of the my sort of initial things to get done was joint venture out these other projects, so we could focus on the Great White project. So we formed some joint ventures, and two of them are doing very well at the moment. One is with Cobra, UK listed company. This is a gold project in South Australia, but they've also now found some interesting high values of rare earths also in the same tenement. So that release came out this week. The gold drilling results were very encouraging. Looks like some interesting gold there, but also this very high rare earths. So that's got the market quite excited. Rare earths is another interesting area, that something that's going to be used or required in very large amounts with the renewable energy surge around the world. Then we also have another joint venture with a company called Environmental Copper Recovery, or Enviro Copper. Now, they've got a process to remove copper from underground without actually building a mine. So they just drill a hole, they pump down a mainly water-based lixiviant material, which dissolves the copper. It's then pumped out from another hole and taken away and processed. So you don't disturb the ground, and it looks like nothing's ever happened. Now they are progressing that very well, and it's looking like we've got a very interesting large copper resource there, which they now are going to move towards. Now they're moving towards the mining stages for that, and going through all the process to get there. So we've got two areas there: copper and gold, and rare earths. They're moving along very nicely.
Okay. Yes, it sounds very good. So you've joint ventured out, perhaps the non-core, but they can keep operating and still give you upside. And then your focus really is on Great White, which sounds like a good plan. I wonder if I can finish off by just maybe asking you to either give us a sense of this opportunity here at Great White, or perhaps 2 or 3 reasons as to why investors should perhaps consider investing in Andromeda.
I think the Andromeda story is exciting, and it's certainly excited the market lately in Australia, because the main facts are that we've got a very large high purity resource of a mineral that's in demand. And this is in demand in a very mature market. It's been going for 1,000 years. It's grown year on year for the last 30 years. And supply is reducing at the moment around the world, and yet demand is still increasing. So we've got this very large, mature opportunity right in front of us. We're ready to go. We'll be ready to go this year to start supplying that market. But also coming on behind that, we've got these new, very exciting areas that we're developing, not just in the concrete application, but in the areas of the natural nanotech applications. So where these nanotubes can be used in all sorts of exciting areas. And carbon capture especially is one that I think that's going to be very interesting to the market as we move forward. We've got a very large pilot plant that will be delivered next month into Australia. This plant will be able to suck in very large amounts of carbon dioxide using our halloysite-based patented technology, and then convert that to a fuel. So completely close the loop, carbon loop, which no one else has done so far. We'll convert waste gas into a fuel, which goes back into a process, goes round and round. So there's some very interesting applications coming through there. And we've got the same, not quite so far progressed, but we've got the same opportunities coming through in battery technology, supercapacitor technology, and in hydrogen energy, which is another very exciting area. So there we've got very short-term, immediate opportunities, some medium-term ones, and some longer-term. Long-term, we could be moving into the energy and renewables market as well.
Okay. Well, James Marsh, the MD of Andromeda Metals, thank you very much for your time.
And thanks for your time, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.